All right, good afternoon. We're joined by, no, it's not afternoon, it's morning over here. Well, it's afternoon somewhere. We're joined by my special guest.
Hello.
Yeah, he hasn't appeared for a very long time because he was feeling really sick. We thought he was on his last leg, but he miraculously recovered. Between you and me, I think he has the nine tails in him, and that's why he gets healed. But
Whatever.
for the newest Dead by Daylight mobile video, I have to admit that's actually the first one ever out of the five up to this point that took multiple recordings, because usually I watch the matches each once before recording for it. And when I'm in the process of recording, I always make sure I'm in some capacity to where I'll have very little interruption or no interruption. And I swear to you, all the videos before that one, I did it like that, just one recording, and that was it. This one took at least four attempts to do all the way through, because there was always some detail I was missing. And I really wanted to highlight with that first match that you had a killer who I think was very beatable. And through the amount of running back and forth that he did, it didn't work out for us. And then here's my phone making noise. Isn't that terrific? Okay, Akatsuki Merchant says you should do a series of videos called Weird Things People Say Online. Yeah, but the thing is, if my own subscribers don't say anything on those videos, like I can't get any engagement off of it. That was actually another issue I was going to talk about. I have some subs who will advocate for me to make a type of video, like a certain person whose last name and starts with an H. And then when you make the video, they're nowhere to be seen. So I was very hurt by that. Please make more of this type of content that we're not going to even actually engage with and thus help your channel. But anyways, getting back to my commentary on that match, it was alluded to in my previous Saturday Smackdown. That is one of the most frustrating matches in the entire time I played that game, and I'm so glad I was able to record it, because you keep trying to do a generator. You have these teammates that get knocked down every other second, it seems like, and then if they're not getting knocked down, they're leading the killer to where you are because they're coming over there. And I've had multiple times where I've played the game, and I've been at a generator with, let's say, another person, two other people, and I'll start trying to get the attention of the killer purposely to lead them away from the generator that's being done by one or two other people. And sometimes I really wish I could just record every match, because there have been multiple instances where I did just keep running from the killer for like a long enough period for teammates to do two, three, sometimes four generators. It's been really nuts. And I don't consider myself some great, amazing player, but what I am saying is you're not usually going to see what happened there happen if, and I mentioned this during the video that, me and my teammate, the one that lasted the longest out of any of them, we both stayed in each match longer than the other two people. I just got done arguing with an ignoramus about romance, and you were right. These useless fools will say anything to defend women. Well, they have real life plot armor, which is when you do something because you're a man, you get criticized or some kind of basic consequence, even if criticism is very light in comparison with, jail time or some other, circumstance that affects your status quo. But if you're a woman, you get to say or do nasty things to men or to other women, and because you're female, you can just get away with it. That's why we need to just call it real life plot armor. A lot of these chicks, by virtue of these people online that defend them, have real life plot armor. They get to say and do nasty things that if you or I did, we would get some basic consequence for, by virtue of their gender. That's their way of getting out of having any of this stuff actually stick with them. That's why I was going to do my video about the never-ending accidental pregnancies, and I was going to talk about how I've seen plenty of men get shamed for having children, like, oh, you ruined your kid's life, blah 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 blah, and you have people who attack me over doing a video. But if a woman creates a kid she knew she can't afford, you don't see the same level of harassment or personal attacks. And it's one of the reasons why I don't really take people seriously online when they try to have these moral high grounds, because there are individuals like these people who spit out these kids they can't afford, that are doing things to actively hurt other people. And instead of actually addressing someone that's doing something to other people, they'd rather cry about me doing the video, which has no consequence on anybody. Certainly not to the same extent of creating another life that you can't take care of. So we'll get into all of that this week, hopefully, because I have written out most of the script for that video. I just have to sit down and edit it. Got all my screenshots in order. It's gonna be real fun. For the sixth video for the Dead by Daylight mobile adventures, it's gonna be a lot, I guess, nicer tone, because I'm playing a match with Bok Bok, the person from the second one. And I didn't win the first one. She won the first one because she found the hatch, but I did win the second one. That's like every game. It has one person wins, one person. I don't even want to look at your comment, because you're the same person who said you wanted me to do sequels to the first DVD mobile adventures, and I haven't seen you leave one comment since. So let it be known, world, if you make a video that Brandon wants, he will not leave a comment or support it in any capacity. For all we know, he doesn't even click the like button. But I'm not surprised, because this is the same person we have screenshots saying he was waiting for me to retire. Brandon should be in every top 10 anime betrayals video, because I feel heartbroken. And thank you, Megumi. Looking forward to that other romance video. Yeah, I've got the whole script written and recorded. Just have to edit it. I probably, by the latest, it'll be because I'm doing a stream on Monday, so probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, it's about 20 minutes. But we address a lot of the excuses that people have for chicks. Oh, maybe she didn't want to get married. It's like, yeah, I'm supposed to believe that this person started dating this guy. I was like, I can't wait to have his kid out of marriage. What a terrific circumstance it is for me. We were discussing this nebulous term called sexual market value, and they talk themselves in circles. Dude, listen. Whenever they start getting the high value person this and low value person that, just remember, your value as a man is always going to be called into question, because no matter how much money you have, physique, any of that trash, another man and a woman, but usually a man, because that we antagonize each other the most. Another man could just come on here and say you're ugly, and then completely undercut any accomplishment you might have. That's why it's not a discussion worth having to me, because you could consider yourself a very high value person and just have another individual tear you down, which they don't do for chicks, by the way. They just say, oh, she's pretty, so she's automatically, you have to do all these steps and extraneous efforts to get her to like you. Ask them to substantiate their claims, and they told me I had to disprove a claim they provided no evidence for. Yeah, you need to provide evidence for something that they're claiming. I can't provide counter evidence to a claim that had no evidence to be countered. Dude, those debates over that chick stuff are just a complete waste of time. Yeah, that's true. Like you said a little earlier, they have the real life plot armor. Oh, the next one after this one is the romance comic book, where we talk about like all the parallels between the chick stuff and comics. Like you have plot armor, you have retcons, you have crossovers, you have plot twists, red herring, all that stuff. Oh, you approached women for 7 years? I don't remember that. Don't bother calling yourself a high value man. It doesn't exist, or it's very rare. It's like, what does that even mean? That's why I don't use any of these terms. They're all so nebulous. And like, if you describe yourself as one of those things, you just have somebody else come around and go, well, I don't personally feel that you're actually what you're saying you are. So, like, why bother? But they actually do, in the video, I mentioned how there's a woman that had three children. The first one she had when she was 18 and homeless, which already sounds ridiculous, right? Why would you have a kid when you don't even have a whatever? Like that just goes back to my thing of like they do this stuff and they know it make like any normal person would say this doesn't make any sense, but because it's a woman, the plot armor activates. Um, so this woman has three kids. The first one while she's homeless, and then she loses all three of them after not taking one of her daughters to get a doctor visit because she got infected with bug bites at a birthday party, and it was some kind of staph infection. It was a very big deal for this child's health, and she was found to be negligent. So she voluntarily signed away the rights, and then these three kids get adopted by a couple in I don't remember what state, but it's another state. This pair of women that are um, lesbians. We're not saying anything negative about people's orientation, but just two a set of wives basically, and they adopt these other three kids from this other woman that also just didn't fulfill her obligations. And then within a few years of adopting these six kids, they get reports of abuse of like them being malnourished. At one point, they start homeschooling them, and as more and more people are noticing signs of like, yeah, they're not being taken care of properly. You got one kid who jumped out a window trying to get food from somebody else. They eventually, these two women packed these six kids into a car and drove it off a cliff and killed all eight of them, including themselves. So in the video, I was going to talk about how if you can't blame the first mother that had the three that got adopted the first time for what happened, but you can say that if she had not had her first kid when she was homeless, if she had actually taken her daughter to the doctor visits that were mandated, very good chance she doesn't lose her kids, and absolutely no possibility that they would have ended up murdered by this pair of bimbos. Because even though those two chicks had plot armor where they kept getting away with like being abusive, they would have never gotten their hands on those three kids if the mother didn't fail them before they got put into state custody. How many men make six figures or more? I mean, it's like how many people even make six figures? Like that's why I said the people want you to you might as well just go and be a superhero from just the insane extraneous stuff they want you to do to get a date. Bagumi says that's absolutely insane. Holy cow. But you see how there's a direct correlation between if she had not lost custody of her kids, doing things that from the time she had the first one led to the downfall of her having custody, it's like a 5, 6 year period. They would have never ended up in state custody. And they sure as hell would have never met the couple that would ultimately abuse them and then murder them along with themselves. Okay, Megumi wrote, it's because it doesn't have an actual defined meaning. It gives more advantage to just say more stuff like moving the goalpost. That's what happens when you use terms that don't actually mean anything. You just say stuff. I feel like banning Akatsuki merch, not because he said anything that offends me, but I just don't like the vibe of, of what he's typing. I really hope she doesn't come back on this stream. It's like the last 2 Saturdays that person shows up. I didn't even get to see Euro's comment. No, it's me that was late because I had some stuff come up. No, that match on that first match on that last video made me want to just tear my hair out. And then when they finally did the last generator, you have two options. You either save your teammate and get knocked down by the killer, or leave your teammate to die and get chased by the killer who's going to catch up to you anyway. And then as you try to open the gate, which takes a whole minute to open, get knocked down, and then you both die. There was By the time I finally got up, it was like, what even? This is already over. I would like to hear more excuses coming from her trying to justify this nonsense. Well, it's got one of the most irritating matches of all time in it. Like that thing was so winnable, and they I don't know what they were doing. Every 2 seconds, hearing somebody get knocked down, and then if you try to do a generator, you got to heal this person in the match. I counted. There's a 40-second interval between me starting the generator and then the person interrupting me so I can heal them, and then me going back to that generator and then having to heal that exact same person because they got hit by the killer again, and then I can't even heal them this time because the killer is chasing this other person right into where we are. So all three of us started running. Oh my God! The only person I see as high value is the president. Hell, even that's debatable. You go and ask any historian, what do you think of James Buchanan? They'll say not much. Like he's universally agreed upon by experts as being one of the worst presidents of all time. So even having that position isn't like on its face like this amazing thing. The only reason he gets brought up at all is if they're talking about because he was the only one that wasn't married, so people like to speculate that must have meant he was gay, even though there's no proof of that. Other than that, you won't see him get brought up. He just kind of gets blacklisted. And other world leaders, is it because who's a celebrity? You can argue celebrities are high value just because most people know who they are through social media. Dude, I'll never forget the one person who used to comment on this channel. Hold on a second. There was one person who used to comment on this channel who I was talking to about Star Wars, and he was like, "Remind me who," because I mentioned one of the actors from there being like the most famous person to work out of all the actors besides maybe Harrison Ford. He was like, "Who's Harrison Ford again?" And then when I didn't like get angry or anything, but I just explained, I'm really surprised you know who that is. And then he tried to say, "Oh, I'm not familiar with most actors." Like, yeah, Harrison Ford is not most actors. He's one of the most significant ones of the last 30 or 40 years easily, between being Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Like it was just so insane. Like how do you not know who that is and you're a Star Wars fan? That is really nuts to me. Whatever. I just thought that was funny. Like, it's one thing for some random person who doesn't care about Star Wars to know who that is, but like you're a fan of these movies that he's in the majority of, and then you don't know who that. Okay, whatever. Now, James, the only reason anybody remembers the other James, the Buchanan James, is for failing to keep the Union intact and the South making their own country with the Confederate States. Like you screwed up so hard that your own country split in like into two. That's the biggest L any American president ever took. Oh my God. The Confederate States of America. And then James says exactly. Let me read what Akofsky Merchant wrote. Celebrities are high value because they make money for the people who exploit their public reputation, but not because they're known through social media. Yeah, there are a lot of celebrities from the 80s and 90s that were well known without ever being on the internet. I am a huge fan of this series, and I don't know the main star's real name or who made the series. It's the most, and you know the thing is, right? Like if you like, let's say Simpsons, for example, right? You know the actors, the voice actors' names. I kind of understand it a little bit because you're just hearing voices, but like you see this man, he's in Blade Runner. Like he's a very prolific actor. Um, and I don't know how you don't know who that is. You know, the sad thing about not knowing who made something is that usually, like if you watch a Star Wars movie, right? It'll say George Lucas at some point in the credits. So it's like, how do you like the person's name is in the movie? That's why I don't feel sympathetic toward, like if you read a comic, it'll say written by and then the person's name, drawn by or penciler, co-plotter, whatever. Like, usually if you engage with their works, the person's name is somewhere in the work itself. The only reason my show doesn't have credits except for in the description is because I don't want the whole credits to be just like me, directed by me, written by me, produced by me, created by me, special effects by me. That's the only reason I'll have my name in like the actual episode itself. Yeah, then again, a lot of people don't pay attention to the credits, even if they claim to be fans of it. Pretty silly. But you get what I'm saying, right? That I'd be a lot more sympathetic if, like, you see a movie, it just starts playing the film. There's no credits, like the film itself tells you who's in it, and they still act like, you know, there was no way of knowing this. Just like when I was telling you about my friend that didn't know who Jack Kirby was, it's like you go on the internet every day, and if you type in who created Captain America, X-Men, Fantastic Four, we can go down the list. It'll tell you instantly. Just like one day I wanted to learn who wrote, who was the longest running X-Men writer, and I got it in 5 seconds. Claremont. And I used to hear him get mentioned when people would talk about, the Dark Phoenix saga or Days of Future Past or any of that stuff, because when someone makes something and people actually care about the product and the person who made it, they'll mention who it was. But it goes back to my thing that, if you do stuff that's actually good, you do get ignored and treated like trash for doing it. That's why Steve Ditko came out in, what was that, like 2012, and said that he hadn't been paid for any of the 4 Spider-Man movie makes up to that point. The co-creator of the character had a whole trilogy in another film made about his character, and he hadn't been paid for it. That's nuts. Who do you think makes all the money when artists do concerts? Not the artists; they get a cut of the profits, but it's the venue companies who make the big bank. Well, I mean, it's just like actors and studios, right? If a studio produces a movie, they get most of it, and an actor gets a cut, right? Again, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I remember. Dude, if I was a band, I would. There's no way I would find some way to try to get around the venue. Like find a place where it's like public domain, like nobody really owns it, and just perform there. I would figure if it's some big band, they can buy a building, and do a concert there. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, I really hope Megumi leaves a comment on DVD Mobile Adventures 5. I might have to give that one a subtitle. Actually, the artist does make all the money for their concerts. They don't any money for their album sales. Dude, the funniest thing was when my friend said like the the work is always known more than the person. And I was like, that is such complete a crock of whatever. Because it's like um you can know who an artist is, right? But then you might not know their albums names. Like I know a lot of people who know who just an example who Beyonce is, but they couldn't name the titles of each of her albums. They could name some songs, I'm sure, but you know, and then they definitely couldn't name all the titles of every song. That would be impossible. So you get where it's just like really comedic. Things like, oh yeah, the artist is all the person who makes something is always lesser known than what they made, and then you have like proof that that's not the case. Like I was talking about how there are plenty of people who like Dragon Ball and know who Akira Toriyama is that have never read Doctor Slump. Good. I tried to throw it to you. I want there to be another noise. I'll give your latest DVD video a watch. Not seen it yet. Yeah, for real. I think it just comes down to its laziness of the individual. I just find that so sad. You do something that people like, that in some cases millions of people have seen. They don't even know who you are. That is extremely pathetic, and it's pathetic on their part. Thank you for entertaining me. Let me forget who you are, or not be aware of you. I told you that all we do is prove more and more that if you do something good, you get ignored and forgotten. If you do something evil, you get remembered. It's really pathetic. Let's see, where did James go? People are just trying to enjoy the moment, like Brandon. Hey, some of the screenshots we have on him, it could completely damage his online career. He won't be able to go to anybody else's comment section and say, "Aren't you that guy that betrayed one of the people you're subscribed to?" He's like, "No, that wasn't me. That was my identical twin."
Well, that's a lie.
Now, one of the people in my chat, we have so many screenshots of him. I remember when I got into this. So about 8 years ago, this serial killer died, and I made a video like laughing at it because I don't feel bad making fun of people that killed a bunch of other people for no reason. That doesn't bother me. Um, and like a bunch of his groupies came on there, and one of them said he's going to go down the history books, and no one will remember you after you die, or you're a nobody that'll be forgotten after. And I'm like, okay, ho, who are you? Like the only groupie of his that anybody remembers is the one he married in prison, who left him after she found out he molested a little girl. So like, what? You get why it's funny. Like they're talking as if someone's going to recall them. It's like who's on whose channel, you know? I'm obsessed fan number 307. I'm going to be remembered. No, not at all. Unless you do something great or bad. Now I'm supposed to feel bad about making fun of someone that killed 10 people. Like just that premise, doesn't that sound insane? You should feel bad for laughing at the demise of a person who murdered multiple people for no reason. People that never bothered him, never did, just wrong place at the wrong time. What was that documentary called Murder Without Motive? It's like I'm supposed to really not smile when I hear that this person can't hurt anybody else. Seriously? Okay. I guess money makes a guy appeal to women since Nicki Minaj married one. But she already has cash. Oh, that Niazon person, forgive and forget. I know I insulted you a couple of days ago, but let's pretend that did not occur. Because I've decided to stop being a piece of garbage unceremoniously. And then when he came on that stream, man, he was only on that stream for 5 minutes before he got yanked because I just Like it's one thing to say get over it or whatever, but to try and retcon it and go, "Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't write weird, creepy comments about the way another man looks." That guy was such a clown. Yeah, he's a not very bright person. And like I said, a lot of people do think if you make videos or do a stream, you're supposed to like put up with every weird encounter you have in one of these things. Well, free speech. Dude, I'm so imagine if real life was like that. Like you're walking down the street and then somebody starts insulting you, and then you go in like your house or some other like place where they can't reach. And they're like, you gotta come back out so I can freely express my opinion about you because if I can't go in your house, then I can't say anything about you. Even though we know that's not true, but whatever. If someone harasses you or hurts you in any way, you're supposed to get over it since it's not a big deal. Well, they're not the one who was dealing with them. Like they didn't have you come to their page while they're talking about something in a, I guess, adult manner. Nobody's cursing anybody out. They're just having a discussion, and then you're gonna start talking about some irrelevant crap. Well, free speech. You can't ban anybody without them crying that. I just can't believe they get so mad over being blocked on one channel. A channel that doesn't even have 10,000 or 5,000 subs. You're mad that that person usually doesn't even have 20 people watching the stream, and you're angry that you can't talk on their page anymore. Oh darn! Hey, imagine saying that somebody needs to change, and then you show up on three of their streams after that. Apparently, they didn't need to change for you to keep watching them. I don't know about his money, but he fits the danger archetype. So many women readily throw their legs open for. Who are you talking about? But even if a man had more money than her, why would that be like? If you're a millionaire, right, and you meet some woman that has $2 million, why do you care? Or how is it like a real turn on that she has more? Like you're already well off yourself. You don't really care. I can't wait to date a gold digger again. Money makes a guy appealing to women. I don't know why they can't just come out and say they only like you for coins. Yeah, you're just used as a wallet. What an appealing life that would be for me. Imagine you get stabbed by someone and you scream out in pain and they go, "Oh my god, just get over it." It's such a psychotic thing to say after you cause a problem. Well, like I said, they don't want consequences for the things that they do. Hold on a second. Let me your comment got hidden, Magumi. Do you need to be a woman's slave and not allowed to have any self-respect or dignity for yourself? Apparently so. You have to date someone who doesn't have to appeal to you in any way besides being a woman, which is not exactly a hard bar to get past. If we have how many of them on planet Earth, and then you have to jump through all these hoops, and then you still, even if you don't, if you do this stuff and don't get with someone, you get blamed for it anyway. So it's just it's a never-ending process of a waste of time. Is the way I put it. Man, something happened this week with a couple I know that I want to talk about, but I can't even really get into it. I'll ask the guy if he wants to do an interview because I would love for you to see how like even this chick stuff does not stop. Even if you get with someone, you still get destroyed. The unfortunate thing that happens to kids seems like it since a lot of women nowadays are demanding men to do things for them without bringing anything to the table. Remember, you got the triangle. That's what you bring. That's the most important thing in the world. I told you, you'll be very hard pressed to find a woman that's not your mother or some other female relative that actually does something to assist you. Like we talk about the dingbat with the baby so much, but stuff like that is just it'll really drive you nuts when you remember that it's like this is this guy's first girlfriend apparently, who he stays with for multiple years, who indirectly leads to him, or excuse me, directly leads to him losing a bunch of money for her, storage unit crap. Curse him out, cheats on him. I mean, whatever. But people still sell you the fantasy. Oh, when you get with a woman, it's so amazing and great. You live happily ever after. They only like you for you. That's why you have to have all this money to go on a date with them because they like you for who you are. I just looked it up and it's saying, "Did you mean mowing?" Somebody always comes on here writes something just like I'm not even paying full attention to that dialogue because I'm getting confused by what he's typing. Yeah, if a woman wants to be housewife and leave her husband and serve her husband, she's called a maid, female slave. I still can't get over, uh, you know, Madam Dingbat on 2 Saturdays ago talking about it's a crap life to have to pay for a guy to have to clean a guy's dirty house, but it's not a crap life to take care of another adult and yourself. I can't wait for an explanation of what this term means. I'm waiting with bated breath. I'm on the edge of my seat. Earlier, he said the full word. I'm trying to not get flagged or filtered. The full word? Well, I don't have a transcript of my words for the last almost 40 minutes, so I don't know which word you mean. You just say thought. I don't think they would get you for that. She was just blinded by completely and unfairly defending the woman in that circumstance, even when she was the one who screwed up their relationship by cheating on the guy. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this in the stream, but after the guy kicked her out, the guy she was cheating with, right? So the man that she was having the extra, it's not extramarital, but the affair with, he changed his avatar. Like he made his account private, so you can't see any of his pictures, and he changed his avatar to a picture of him and her kissing. I told you this stuff is like a cartoon. You meet a man who will take care of you, who lets you live at his house rent free, with the only stipulation that you have to clean sometimes because he doesn't really, have that much stuff. When you get sick, he quits his job so that he can drive you to your sickle cell assignments or whatever. Then you cheat on him with some guy you met on the computer. And after he kicks you out, the guy makes his account private and he changes his avatar to a picture of you and him making out. That should be a movie. It would be called. What's a good title for that? I'm trying to think of something witty. I can't even it can't even come to me. I'm just imagining like that. Like if it was a film, it would start with him meeting her because it was in 2015 or 16 that they met, and then 2 years later is when it just all like goes downhill, and like the movie starts with them meeting, and then it ends with the guy going on the other guy's account and seeing that picture of him and her making out as the avatar. Like that sounds like something out of a movie. I had my account on not private for however ever since I made it, but I got to make it private so this guy can't see what we're doing anymore. But let me make sure to tease him and any other people that might see this by changing the avatar to us making out. And by the way, I should also mention the guy that she cheated on didn't actually put that in the video. He put her name, like the name of her account, name of the guy's account in the video, and I clicked on it, and like 2 or 3 days after that video came out is when they changed it to that. Oh my god. I wish you could have seen the picture. Just if you saw, and I don't like to usually talk about the ways chicks look, but I showed when this video came out my best friend a picture of her, and he said, she's all right looking, but there is no way she should have two men, like competing for her. Like that's why I said a lot of these chicks that have like competition for them, it's like you look and you're like, really? With her green hair. Oh my god. I just feel for the guy in this circumstance who was being yeah. And that's also why I said that there's something wrong with people when they can defend behavior like that. Her crap life, yeah. Mail me a box of tissues. I heavily agree with that too. It's due to lack of options, as we all know. But it's just the idea that you would have this man who you live in the home of, who seemingly indefinitely, right, was going to have you live rent free, and then you just completely ruin it for some clown on the computer. Like I would look like the biggest buffoon on the planet if I had some woman who paid for me to stay at her house, who paid for everything that I stay at the house of, whose only stipulation is you have to clean, and who I decide to cheat on with some random broad on Instagram. Like it really sounds insane. Like the more I think about it, and just I've never been able to understand the thought process. Like who would give something like that up? Again, for a guy on the internet. So I said that there's something wrong with chicks, and nobody wants to discuss it. They want to just throw names out and all these insults. It's really sad. Brandon says, "Yeah." I don't even know what he's saying yet to. I told you that this chick stuff has just like people lose money over it. They go insane over it. It's all bad. The competition of those two guys. But it shouldn't have even been a competition. You had one guy who paid for all this stuff, did everything another person conceivably would ever want from their partner, and then some, and then like somehow loses her to again a dude on the computer. A woman will give up an empire just because she doesn't feel right that day. Well, we already had this discussion about how you could have a woman open like a safe of $1 million. She'd be like, so much money. What am I supposed to do? And then people would actually feel sympathetic toward her. They would find a way to make her the victim in finding all this cash because it's just it to defend chicks no matter what. That's why when we did the "You Defend Skanks But Not Scholars" video, we had the picture of Piccolo in front of Gohan. That's what they do. They throw themselves in the way. She didn't feel there was any vibe between her and the guy. Is all, yeah. Her nebulous senses weren't working that day, so she just decided to go with the flow. This is why men need to be more selfish when it comes to spending. Yeah, I don't. To hell with that. I've never given a broad a single red cent unless it was to do some specific type of work. Like you order something from a restaurant, want somebody to draw a picture for you, but giving you a coin because you have a triangle and you're like saying sexual stuff. No, anybody could do that. Yeah, I mean, hey, you saw that with the guy and the dingbat. Like, just I don't even know how many hundreds of dollars he lost every month paying for that thing. And that's why I told you that relationships to me are such a joke because people try to pretend as if they're supposed to be fair and equal. But every time I see one, again, among like younger people, whatever, it's always the man paying for the woman. Like the man gets a big bill and the woman gets a free ride and a hat. They can drain your resources easily. That's why this guy said he was gonna start calling chicks Android 19 and 20. They just grab you and start just those. They remember 19 with the robot baby voice. Let me drain your energy. That's what the chicks do. You'll never be able to imagine the reverse of that taking place. A woman actually paying a storage unit for a guy to store his stuff, and it will never happen. Yeah, but that's why I said, what's the point of chicks? Like, what's the point of being with one if it always equates to a negative? Because I've never, even out of like the broads I've just spoken to, they haven't lost any money because I spoke to them. I'd be laughing too, Euro, but that's really how they are. They get with a man and screw him up. People do a lot of stuff for a triangle. That's all it is. Women want the badge of equality without any of the responsibility. Well, we already talked about the equality myth. We want things to be equal. That's why men have to always approach. We want things to be equal. That's why we have 30 chicks, 30 men talking to one woman, but we don't have 30 women talking to one man. That's real equality. Told you when I used to go on Reddit, you go in the R for R section. It was if it was female for male, like woman looking for man, 5 comments, 10 comments, 15 comments. But you go in the section where it's men looking for women, it just barren wasteland. It looks like a desert. It really is that ridiculous, honestly. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this. I don't know if it was Eurodollar who brought this person up. And Eurodollar, if you remember who I'm talking about, please don't say their name. This is very important. About a week ago, there was a person who made a video earlier this year or last year about never having had a girlfriend, and then he meets some woman off the computer or in real life, however they meet, whatever. And he makes videos titled, one of them is "You Were Worth the Wait." Another one is "How to Get a Girlfriend," which I made fun of. I didn't like actually put the video up. I made fun of like the premise of a guy who has only ever had one woman agree to date him, now giving advice on how to get a woman, like, and talking about shadow work and all this other nebulous crap. And then after about 3 or 4 months of this woman appearing in goddamn every video like they're Batman and Robin, she stops appearing. She's not seen anymore. And then he reveals that they broke up. And it's like when this happens, he deletes all of these videos that she was in. Yeah. Do not say who it is. I like if you wrote who she was, I would delete your comment because I'm not trying to have drama with this person because it doesn't look good for someone that gets less than 100 views talk about someone that gets thousands. So he makes a video about like why being single is good. And I'm like, okay, the narrative you originally had was if you work on yourself, a woman will like you and then you'll live happily ever after, which is why you did the video called "You Were Worth the Wait." But then you broke up with this woman or she broke up with whoever. And then now being single is like now the new cool, good, like it just seems very fake. Being with this woman was the best thing ever. That's why I made the "You Were Worth the Wait" video. What she broke up with him, apparently. Again, he's described it in very vague terms, so we don't know who broke up with who. I'm just saying that there's a like really big tonal shift where he doesn't want to ever seem negative about any circumstance ever, even if it doesn't add up with what he said before. So it's just like there was this one broad I knew on Reddit that called herself an eternal optimist. That's literally how he's acting, where getting with the woman was so great and amazing, and then when you're single, being single is so great and amazing. Did all that shadow work to get a broad that would date you for like a couple of months and then back to square one. Dude, you know what? That's another reason why if I ever did get a broad to go on a date or actually be a couple, she would never appear in it because I'm not deleting anything because you were in it. That's stupid. My brother could decide today he doesn't want to talk to me for the rest of his life, and I'm not going to delete any video he's in. I hate those big, like you get some quarrel with somebody and then you delete a whole bunch of stuff. Work on yourself forever just to get with the mediocre or below woman who has done no. It's not even just that. Work on yourself forever after, like, so that after years of being totally ignored and rejected by chicks, one of them will finally agree to go on a date with you and you'll be with that person for a few weeks, a few months, and then you'll be right back to being single again with no potential other person in sight. Like literally a small brief. So I said it's a status quo, a small brief exit from the status quo just to go right back to it a few months later. I just thought that was, and I'm not celebrating that he got broken or any of that trash. It's just, it's really ironic that he was gassing his subscribers about how being with a woman is so great and amazing, and oh my god, again, you were worth the wait. And then after it ends, he deletes all that stuff. It's like being by myself is really good, and I've been allowed to. Like, man, get out of here. That's called toxic positivity. The idea that you must never ever have negative thoughts and only feel positivity. Being with the woman is great until it's not, and then being single is great until it's not. Like he just can't make up his mind. I feel like he could get arrested for something, and he'd make a video about like why being in prison has been so rewarding in this orange jumpsuit. So guys, I've been sitting behind bars, and I have to say this has been very uplifting for me as a person. Basically, a woman who doesn't meet most of your standards. That's right, dude. It's the status quo at this point, literally. But this guy quickly shifts as soon as he breaks up with that woman. I wish I had downloaded, and I wouldn't put them up to make because I'm not like certain people on here. I wouldn't do it for like archive purposes or to make fun of him. It would just be to watch that and then contrast it with his current stuff because it really does seem like two different people. Like it's the same narrative of my current situation is good despite the two situations we've seen him in, which is being with the woman, being by himself, being polar opposites. And this is reflected in his content, hence why he deleted a lot of his videos, which had featured her in the. Yeah, dude, it's like, I guess how to explain it. If you watched his channel before he broke up with this woman, it was like watching a fairy tale. This man was single for so long, and then he meets this perfect woman who's like so understanding, and all his subscribers talk about how beautiful she is because that's the new thing that they do. Uh, and then a few months later, now the woman is nowhere to be seen, and he's talking about being single is so great. It's like, but the narrative you had before was that doing all this stuff gives you this amazing reward of this, absolutely perfect broad, and like it's funny to see how like it looked the fairy tale just quickly died out. Like I think that's hilarious. I mean, wow, that is so bizarre. Dude, he deleted so many videos. Like he had I think 2 or 3 streams with her. He had the like you were worth the wait video. He had the like I manifested a woman video. I was like, are you kidding me? All this stuff is gone. And like, what was the point of making any of it in the first place? If once she breaks up with you, oh, I gotta delete all this stuff and sell a new crock of BS. And of course, every video he does, thousands of likes. Yeah, man, this is so positive, so uplifting, so great. I feel so motivated. There are some layers to it for me, but a physically attractive one with a horrible attitude is below, in my book. Well, you're still going to be told that she's out of your league because appearance is the only thing that matters. That's why people say go to the gym. Go to a gym for someone that never exercises because that makes sense and it's very fair. People who harbor toxic positivity are some of the most miserable human beings on the planet. It's like that's why I don't like a lot of these people on here because they can't just look at something and say it's bad. Like you look at the chick stuff, you say, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It took this long to get one person to go on a date. Sorry, it still sucked that happened. But like with him, he won't ever say something is not good. The delusion lives on, and it continues and grows and grows. Being with a woman is so amazing. James says, "I see." Telling you, it's really crazy that I got to live, and I'm not subscribed to that person. They just showed it to my recommended one day, and it was really comedic to watch them backflip as hard as they did. And I take no joy in somebody getting broken up with because it's not exactly something I think anyone actually enjoys at all, except me. Because when that gold digger said we were through, I was like, yeah, no more begging me for coins every day. But with him, it's like, you listen to his videos of talking about how all high and mighty about this woman, and then it lasts for a couple of months, and now you're back to saying that being single is so amazing. And I'm like, what? Which is it? Tell you, man, this I just think something's wrong with chicks, and a lot of people they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to criticize them ever. Um, they want to make excuses for them. It's just it's that's why having a dialogue about this stuff more often than not is not productive, because you have people who, instead of addressing what's being said, they hurl insults, as you saw on that last Saturday, or they write fan fiction, as you saw last Saturday. So many videos got Thanos snapped over that woman. Like, see, that's why the only people I have in my stuff are my brother and my best friend, because like both of those people I know I'm not gonna have some quarrel with or want to cut ties with or whatever, and then I get rid of them from everything. I don't like videos with expiration dates. Just like that guy that got cheated on by the woman the one we were talking about earlier. I found out all this information because he made I believe it was either an hour or an hour and a half video talking about her, and that video was up for one day before he made it unlisted, and then he got rid of it altogether after a month. It was a really good video too, because you could tell he was just venting just about how frustrating it was to be with someone that used him in that many different ways. I got the feeling you are just looking to screw. That's why you're having so much trouble in getting a date. Such an idiot that woman was. Man, for all we know, that could be a guy. I mean, you remember that no picture. We know that it's mostly guys that actually write that like weird stuff to me. So as far as I'm concerned, that was just a dude. Hell, we already found out that one of them already did that John Jacobs person. Remember? They think this is a live action version of Rama One Half. When boy goes in water, he turns into girl. When he touches the cold water, you you can look upon her. His hair goes from black to red. She acts like women don't want to. How many women want relationships later? But like that's why I said they act like yeah, these villains. But that's why I was talking about how they treat chicks like they're nuns. You know, I'm supposed to believe they just get a boyfriend and hold hands with them, or they look at each other and smile. No, they make out. They do all kind of sexual crap. I tell you, it's really comedic watching them talk about banging like chicks don't do it all the time. Like they don't have partners to do that with. Like it's really hilarious. All the chicks are just these darling little angels that just want to get to know you as a person. Well, they act like women in general don't have a sex drive at all. Yeah, they paint a lot of BS, man. It's just that's why I get sick of these people. They're not writing anything smart or anything that's worth listening or reading. It's dumb. Women are angels no matter what they do. Hey, Megumi, if that guy wanted to be a villain, like let's say after that woman cheated on him with the guy on Instagram, let's like if he put out her picture and her full name and all, like I wouldn't feel sympathetic toward her at all. Just like like I guess the way I look at it is if you really screw with someone, right, on a level of you made the person believe you cared about them, you want to be with them, and then just abruptly you switch courses. I think there should be some repercussion for that. And no one is saying that has to be violent. No one is saying, leak someone's private. But it's hard for me to feel sympathetic toward people that do stuff like that. Just like with the chick that was in my woman asked me on the dating and backflips video. I don't care what happens to that person, whether it's good or bad, because they are nothing to me other than a liar. And I don't feel sympathetic toward them because of what they did. But that's why I said that, like with chicks, people want you to have this like weird thing of always understanding them. But if you're a man, just throw away the key. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube hid. You know what? Since Brandon won't comment on any of my DVD videos, I'm gonna let YouTube keep his comment hidden. They're gonna keep it held for review. That's gonna be my revenge. Yeah, there's a lot of brainwashing when it comes to the female gaze. We're gonna leave Brandon's comment locked up behind bars. That'd be funny if I could screenshot his comment and then put little like get some bars and draw those on top of it. His comments in jail. We're gonna let that thing sit in there. It's a pretty big comment. It's like it's one sentence, but it's like 4 lines. So yeah, we're gonna just leave that in there. This is what that comment looks like. Please let me out. You haven't been banned. Your comment was hidden by YouTube. I didn't like when people type something that has certain terms that YouTube doesn't deem appropriate, it'll automatically withhold your comment. And I'm looking at it, but I'm not reading it or releasing it. It's just gonna sit in jail. It's gonna sit in comment Arkham Asylum. Please let me out. Read me. You want it to be out, you better post bail by writing some comments. If it's online, it's okay to treat someone like trash in these circumstances if these chicks doing the guys wrong. Yeah, a lot of people think since they're on the computer, they can get away with it. I mean, hey, we this isn't even related to the like romance stuff, but like with the voice actors, I told you about how a lot of them, instead of just saying I don't want to do this anymore, will ignore you until you just stop sending them anything. And how there's an article that talks about how people have become so psychotic, while at the same time so cowardly that they can't formally tell someone I don't want to do this anymore. They have to like do their best to avoid direct encounters with that person because they're really afraid of someone over the computer. In some cases, for no reason, as is the case with them. And I mentioned on Reddit, there's a whole bunch of chicks that I add up to the like rejection number that just abruptly stop responding. They don't outright say I'm not interested. You don't get into some big last fight with them or anything. They just don't say anything to you anymore. They stop responding. And a lot of chicks are like that. I have this one chick I met on Instagram who you'll send her a message and sometimes she'll respond right away. Sometimes she won't respond until you send her another one, which could be 2, 3, 4, 5 days later. Another one does that on Twitter. So That's why blaming one person for like the behavior of all these chicks has always been so stupid to me. Because you can't control if you know how interested in you someone is. Man kills an entire room of men. He's an insane mass murderer. He deserves the chair. Woman does it, and it's, oh, the poor woman was having rough time in life, so obviously needs counseling. You saw the same thing with Andrea Yates, that evil hoe, and I don't care about calling her that because we're about to explain what she did. Had 5 kids that she drowned and killed, and then people were blaming her husband for continuously getting her pregnant. I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to feel the guy who made the kids with her is supposed to feel bad that she killed them. Just logic goes right out the window with these people. Yes, me too, so I can relate. Oh, you know what? Somebody made a video on this Dead by Daylight Twitch streamer. It's not at the start of the video, but it's toward the end where he talks about like his own mental health problems and but that they're not an excuse to treat people like trash. I would I wish that video had been made when I did the video on the woman tries to control and fails miserably. I would have stuck that as the intro because it's really good. He talks about his own like mental health issues, but how he doesn't use them to justify acting like a prick to people on the computer. It was nice because it's calling out people who try to hide behind whatever disease they want you to believe they have, and use this justification for acting like garbage. So I really wish he had made that video months ago because I would have definitely used that for my thing. It's valid, but I think people are just saying it, just make an excuse for something they do. No, it's not valid. There are plenty of people with mental illnesses that don't go around treating others like trash. Are you okay? I feel bad for Brandon's comment. That thing is going to be behind bars for a long time. Interesting. There isn't a lot of people who would actually be genuine to admit they won't. Again? Oh man. So now we have 2 comments from Brandon that YouTube withheld, and I didn't do it because you saw both of my hands. So he has 2 comments sitting behind bars now, held hostage until he comments on a DVD video. Interesting. There isn't a lot of people who would actually be genuine to admit they won't use their mental health to justify their screwed up actions. Well, the guy is he's saying it simply because people act like when you criticize those with mental illnesses that no one who criticizes them doesn't have it themselves. So he was talking about he's taking medication. In the past, he thought he was going to die from it, and he doesn't use it as an excuse to treat others poorly. No, this is my revenge for all this for the inactions that he's taken. Gotta love when people use mental illness as a shield from personal responsibility. Remember when Dingbat was getting defended by Triple L? She probably has trauma in her background. Dude, I swear they make chicks sound like Naruto villains. Like, oh, she did something screwed up. Let's have a 5-episode flashback. Let's talk about her backstory. You don't get the parallel. Like, in the real world, people see something disgusting or messed up. That's it. You get called out for being disgusting or messed up. Nobody cares if your dad punched you or if your mother left you on a railroad track. It's like only on the with these chicks, especially once a computer, do people do this Naruto villain backstory stuff. She's a very disgusting person. What led her to be that way? Enter 3-episode flashback. Oh, that's an accurate description of this scenario of these chicks. I told you I want to make that video so bad. The romance, the romantic rejection comic book. They're so lucky my printer doesn't work anymore. I would print out like some pages, like a page that says romantic rejection, and then like put that like make what's the way of saying it? Make it look like an actual comic. Like, oh, I'm reading issue one of romantic rejection. It's so accurate. Like, just have this prop. I told you they're turning real life more and more into like some kind of book or movie or TV show every year. Because of the fences they have for chicks remind me of the Twilight Zone, but just how backwards the stuff is. Like I never thought I'd see the day where there are what millions or billions of chicks on the planet, and you have 30 guys trying to talk to one of them. Doesn't make any sense. It really is like a cartoon. Like I just this feels like something out of a movie, like some post-apocalyptic world where there's like one broad for every 200 guys. So now they're like every chick is getting just approached by a whole bunch of men she doesn't even like. And then as at the same time as she's annoyed that she gets approached by all these different men, you're being encouraged by men to get a date by doing the same thing of approaching that chicks out of their own mouths say they don't like. Yeah, that's an oxymoron. Appeal to these people by doing the same thing that they say they don't like. Like this stuff really does seem like Mission Impossible. You're supposed to get someone to want to go on a date with you by doing the same thing of approaching that they say they don't like. A woman who thinks you're too good for her when you already said you're into her, yet she rejects. I told you, man, that was one of the final like serious attempts I made with getting with the broad. Like when I read that message that morning, I wanted to throw my computer out the window. I was so pissed. Like you sat here for days answering all these questions by this broad, having her type all this stuff about she liked you and blah 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 blah, and then for nothing. I mean, again, James, think about it. You're supposed to appeal to them, the approach stuff, right? By doing the same act that they say they don't like. Because again, I've had multiple chicks say they don't like getting approached by men. So what what else are you supposed to do? But see, when I say that it's a waste of time to approach them, I'm told that I'm negative and all this other stuff. So whatever. That's the biggest disrespect and slap in the face for real. I tell you, when that happened, that's why you don't believe anymore. Like the only reason that chick this year got through was because she asked me on a date, which still had never been done before. But other than but like at this point, none of these chicks can do anything that actually convinces me they're interested because they always pretend to like someone and then renege or sing a different song or start dating some other guy. It's like it just gets repetitive and boring. And then people are upset you don't like having your time wasted. Not to mention that vast majority have admitted they are too scared to approach guys, even if they find them good looking or appealing. That's why. What was that stupid comment she said? You'll find At some point, you'll notice a different caliber of chick, more on your wavelength, whatever that trash was that she wrote. That's why I didn't believe it, because everybody knows that for the most part, women do not approach men they find attractive. So you are left in the game of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You either join a woman's reverse gender harem of a bunch of guys trying to talk to her and all getting ignored for the most part, or you go out and, I guess, wait for one of them to maybe say something to you, which could take months or years or even decades, depending on what the circumstances are. So it's just a really rigged against men game that I don't recommend anyone play. Yeah, they end up settling for a guy they're not attracted to. They're not attracted to any damn body the way they treat these men. Told you, if I got a woman, you wouldn't see me begging her for money or talking about, I won't date you because you're not 6'8", or because you wear glasses, or you wore this outfit twice in a week, or like, it's just all that stuff is dumb to me. It's just I don't do the nitpicks. Dude, there are so many like insane stuff that have happened with chicks. I've lost count. You got the broad that agreed to marry me and then reneged after a week and then kept saying she might change her mind for 3 months, so I just blocked her. It's like that happened around the same time as the one that did the "oh, I'm not good enough for you and then I reject you anyway" thing. The same, that song and dance. This stuff will literally make you lose your mind if you delve so deep into it that this is more ridiculous than being at a circus. Well, see, that's why I just don't understand these guys, because I don't know how you look at these different circumstances and situations, and you have a man that compromises, expresses his willingness to date the other person, and then all you do is find fault in the man every time, no matter what happened. Like who wants to talk to someone where if the situation were reversed, that they would blame you for not having a girlfriend or wife or whatever because you said no or rejected a bunch of different chicks, but then they'll also blame you if you get rejected. So like who wants to talk to someone who will find you guilty no matter what? Yeah, this stuff will literally make you lose your mind. Because again, it's people second guessing you and just over analyzing minor stuff like what you're wearing and all the rest of that. It's just not an appealing thing to experience. To be honest, I don't think you don't have to delve deep to understand how dumb it is. These guys are just being real men. Yeah, the real we all know the realest men are sitting on the internet talking about the way another man looks. Told you, it's always hilarious to me that guys that apparently are so successful with chicks somehow found their way on videos about the opposite of that. But there's a lot of irony in the stuff they do. Oh yeah, being with a woman is so great. That's why instead of spending time with her, I'm going to go look on the internet for videos about not being with one. Those two actions correlate, don't they? It looks like she's not coming today. I'm so glad. She wrote enough nutty comments for 2 streams. Because I was worried that since I started this a little bit later, she might pop up earlier, and I didn't feel like having a headache for another, what is it, 30, 40, 50 minutes, so I'm glad. Because I don't have a haircut, I can't get into a relationship sounds pretty dumb to me. Dude, that was the funniest thing in the world. Like, I've got this picture of my grandpa, from I think it was, it's either the 70s or 80s, where he has, like, a full, like, goatee, or at least like, a mustache, and then also an afro. Like, his hair is longer than mine has ever been, and he was married. Like, it's just it's so comical watching these people talk about the magic cut, like this magic hairstyle that is gonna make all these chicks like you. But see, that's what happens when you do the nitpicks, because you start to really believe if you don't do this one specific thing or whatever the fatal flaw that you deem this person to have, you're screwed. You don't want to speak too soon, though. Yeah, we're gonna jinx it. 1, 2, Serena's coming for you. 3, 4, block your door. 5, 6, she's throwing out the facts quick. 7, 8, logic she tends to hate. She's gonna come in here with her little like glove and red and green sweater. Oh my god. A real man will pay for their woman just for existing, just man up and ask her out, but also buy her gifts, jewelry, flowers, whatever. I told you, every time you look at this chick stuff and the way it's described by people, there is no benefit from it. Like, you have to do all the work to get her to show the slightest interest in you, whether that's asking somebody out or including all this extraneous stuff they talk about doing, the physique and money and status and all the rest of that crap. Then in the relationship, if anyone pays for anybody's stuff, it's 9 times out of 10 you paying for her stuff. So that's even more appealing. It's like, who looks at that and says, "Yeah, this is exciting"? Just so that chick stuff will really it can disillusion anybody with good reason. That's why I did the video how romance dehumanizes men. Because if you told some woman that when she gets with a man, she's gonna have to pay for his stuff and work out for him while he doesn't do any physical stuff himself, you would get laughed at. But that's why I said, like, why bother talking to a group of people who so confidently believe in extolling these double standards? Ask all the guys who are trying to get a woman. They'll give you answer as to why it's exciting. Well, I don't find it exciting anymore. I find it repetitive. How would you describe your love life? Repetitive, stagnant, boring, annoying, cancerous. I think those are all good terms to use. They're very appropriate. It's not like they meet any of these standards they preach or impose on others. Where is their proof that their advice actually worked or is effective? No, they never show any proof. It's just some guy, usually hiding his face, typing a bunch of stuff on the computer, and then we're supposed to take his word for it. I told you, out of all the guys that were all that nasty stuff about the way I look and all the rest of them, none of them ever showed proof they're with a woman. Not a single one. All the ones that gave the advice never show. Remember, I asked one of them, do a video You were here for it. Do you remember the guy I asked him do a video like showing
Yeah.
him and never did the video?
Never did nothing.
Yeah, because that's what these guys on the computer do. They say things to make themselves sound strong, and then they don't show any proof. Told you, when I talk about how insane chicks are, almost every time we mention a story with them. What do? We have, if it's an edited video, we have screenshots. Always, usually, again, unless if it's an edited video, demonstrating what we're talking. And sometimes we use examples that aren't even us. Like if I wanted to, I could make romance stuff about other people. Being so obsessed with the woman that you murder other human beings for, and I could do a whole video about that. I wouldn't use any examples of me. I'd just be a narrator. Because like there's a whole long history of chicks getting guys caught up in stuff that if they didn't care about getting with one of them, wouldn't have happened to them. That's why it's sad to see people gas them up the way they do. Getting with the woman expands your horizons and makes you, yeah, okay. So that's that guy who got his resources drained and now has to pay for a kid he didn't even want in the first place. The guy who was flexing about his great physique still hasn't made a video yet. No, it's been over a month.
No proof, no nothing.
Do you remember back in November when we did the second World Without Heroes? There was a guy called Brian that was like talking about you need to go to the gym and have a physique. Okay, he had a picture of a random football player as his avatar. He never showed proof that he exercises. Never showed proof he's had a single girlfriend.
Really?
But we're supposed to believe that he goes and exercises like he's Hulk Hogan and now he's drowning in chicks. We'll never know for these guys online hiding their faces, but I do know for other guys it's work. No one is saying this stuff has never worked. I'm simply saying that there's a very strong correlation between people who tell you to do extraneous things, never showing proof that they themselves did it. Yeah, he was a literal Megumi. He got clowned harder than anybody else that's ever been on this channel. He was dumb enough to write the sentence, "Money is meaningless." Everybody laughed. The whole chat laughed. We laughed. Me and my brother, like we all thought he was a joke. And then said, "I'm a long time sub," and that's when I cut him off and I said, "Wait a second. Where are your comments? Where's any proof that you've ever watched any of my stuff?" "That doesn't mean I didn't watch." No, but it means that we have no proof to support your claim. Like if Tina, for example, said she's a longtime sub, blah 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 blah. I can click on her icon and it shows over 400 comments on all these different videos. But with this guy, when I typed his name in on my this is after the stream, I typed his name in my email. Guess how many videos he commented on?
1.
2 years ago, and then came back writing weird stuff that one day and then got banned. That's his legacy.
Wow.
The butt of all jokes. People feel more comfortable talking trash when they can hide their faces because they know they don't have to confront you in person. Oh, I'm telling you, man, over the internet, all these guys are porn stars. They're all like, I don't even want to say, they're all stone cold. They all have muscles. Everybody on the internet tries to sound so good, just this is the place to grandstand. But their attitude would change real quick if you knew where they lived. Well, look, I'm not a violent person. I'm just simply saying it's really annoying to have people who will accuse you of lacking confidence be so unconfident of themselves as to hide their faces as they type their trash. That's a very strong recurring theme with these people, and I just don't understand why they do it. A lot of these guys online are imaginary players. Yeah. McGummy said that guy was a literal joke. We have like nobody else ever been laughed at that hard. Oh, and not to mention some guys don't do anything, but they're able to get in a relationship. Yeah, I told you that the guy that dates the dingbat with the baby, he literally came up to her and said, "I like you," and then she started dating him. And then she's so dumb, she gonna try to tell me after that that you need to do work to get a woman. Like, what work was required to get you? He just came up and said he liked you, and that was it.
Mm, mm.
That must have been really tough. Oh, there are a lot of imaginary players on the internet, man. James, you see how her own life contradicts what she says? You understand like how she says one thing, but then the person she's actually with didn't even do the crap that she's spewing. It's the same thing with that guy I used to talk to with the emails where he was like, "Oh, you're very young," whatever, like talking about chicks. I'm like, "Sir," I didn't say this to him because I'm not trying to have an argument, but it's like you can't sit there and talk about waiting for the perfect person to come along or the ideal person, whatever. And you've been married, 3 times. Like, how do you want somebody to believe in this partner that takes years and years to meet that's going to just be so great and amazing, but you've been married 3 times? Like, their own lives contradict the stuff they say because it's garbage. They're spewing nonsense. Imagine if I was telling people how to play DBD like well, and I'm like, do generators, and every time I do a video, you don't even see me doing generators. Like I look like the biggest hypocrite in the world. Only time I'm not doing generators if I'm looking for one or getting chased by the killer. All the other time I'm sitting on one of those things doing this. There's one match against Freddie where I did 4 generators and still lost. I got all the way to the exit gate and I just it couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. Their circumstances not in tandem with what they preach. It might take 5, 10, or 15 years for a woman to like you back, to get someone who will like you back. It's like, oh, but then you admit that you've had, by the time you were 22 men asking to marry you. Yeah. So I don't like chicks, man. They every time something happens to you, you're supposed to, like, for them, they can just pick up man anytime they want, but you have to play this like really stupid, extraneous endurance waiting game because they're overly selective and you have to just hope that one of them will not be that way or not be that way as much. That's why I said just screw it. They only preach so hard because these people are sheltered and had everything in life handed to them. Yeah, they've never, dude, none of these chicks have ever had to deal with rejection. None of them ever sat there after getting turned down by some man going, "Oh, I don't think anyone will ever like me. I spent 2 or 3 months talking to him just for him to say he wasn't." Never. That's why they can come on here and preach all this fairy tale crap because they've never experienced this. And they'll never have to because they'll always have, no matter how old they get, no matter what they look like, always some man showing interest in them. Remember, for them, it's not a question of if, but when. For a man, it's a question of if, because you will realistically have a chance of like no broad ever reciprocating, just the same old BS recycled over and over. The best romantic advice is if it happens, it happens. I mean, yeah, it's more realistic than this Disneyland fairy tale stuff they keep telling you. Oh, the magic woman will come and she'll like you back. And even though we have proof that 30 men talk to one woman because no woman is showing interest in them in real life, everyone has someone for them. Yeah. Yeah, but Justin, don't make it sound women hold all the options. Both men and women have the same struggles. Yeah. Oh, well, that's the person we were talking about. That was a guy that pretended to be a woman. Chicks only get rejected by that one guy they were into, but at the same time, they're rejecting. Dude, it was the funniest thing when I was in 9th grade. I had a classmate I liked, and I asked her on a date, and she said no. And she was dating some other guy or some boy or whatever. And then apparently they broke up or had some kind of fight, and then she tweeted, "I guess I'm just bound to not be with anybody." And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, how do you like? And this goes back to why I'm not empathetic toward chicks when it comes to this romantic stuff because they never are out of options. You're upset that this one man isn't doing what you want him to do, even though they still get further than you because they actually dated this person. And then you have another man like right over there that's willing to date you that you actively ignore. Like that's why I said I don't feel sorry for them. Okay, let me hold on a second. Let me grab it. That's something I don't wish to think about, to be honest. I guess we're all supposed to be Android. No, we're all supposed to be Toa from Dragon Ball X Universe, where she had to make her husband. She had to build a boyfriend. That's what you got to do to build a broad. Yeah, you're right. I have found myself in that circumstance quite a lot in the past. I'm bound to not end up with anybody because one guy stopped dating me, even though I have this other guy that's interested in me. I bet you, I just like it would be so funny if I wrote in response to her saying that maybe your standards are too high. Dude, imagine like getting like some woman that you're with, right, just breaks up with you, and then there's another chick that's just like, yeah, let's go on a date. You know damn well you wouldn't be sitting there going, oh, nobody will ever like me. It's like there's someone right there that's interested. What are you talking about? I want to use another B word, but I don't want to get demonetized. So. You need to have goals, but I'm allowed to sit online all day.
Mm.
Come on, we're almost done. You need to have goals, but I'm allowed to sit online all day telling others what to do with their lives. Dude, if these guys are really doing all the stuff they tell you to do, wouldn't they actually be doing it instead of like watching your video? You know, like if I tell somebody they need to, I don't know, go outside and run 1,000 miles or whatever that stupid thing that guy wrote was a mile, 3 miles every week. Wouldn't I be out there running 3 miles every week and not sit on the computer typing that stuff to him? It'll be too late by then. I mean, people are marrying later in life. The average age of marriage is going up for both men and women. Well, don't think just because you got married, it's a happily ever ending. Because we could do a whole video about multiple celebrities that have been married 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, in one case 7 times. You know, like I don't know where that even registers as a victory. I feel like there's a comment I didn't read. Yeah, Megumi, that raisin person was a guy who stole a woman's picture. He was trying to be the new Goku Black. He steal somebody else's image and pretend to be the. Definitely not out the woods, even if you're with someone or married. No, I told you that guy. If that dingbat ever breaks up with him, which I don't think she will, because between you and me, she's not the most desirable character either. He would be right in the same spot as you or I. Never date anybody else. If you just do this stuff and wait, eventually someone will like you back. And that's why I was gonna say in my video, it's like if chicks are so different and they don't all act the same as people like to say online, wouldn't you be able to find one 3 years ago that wanted to get married? Why do you have to wait another 1,000 days for one of those bastards to like you back? You get my logic, right? Like if they are truly not all the same, shouldn't you be able to find one that is like willing to do that stuff with you? That and it doesn't require like a years long task or quest or journey. I'm just asking if they're different from each other, shouldn't you be able to find at least one that was interested in you and wanted to get married at some point without having to talk to, you know, hundreds or however many people think you have to speak to before you're allowed to complain. Oh, here we go with that word. Sim zone. Come on. This saga. That's the conclusion I arrived at after going through this saga. Because in the never ending accidental pregnancies video, one of the things I addressed is how people kept saying that chicks are not all the same. But if anyone who has any man that has a stagnant love life where they talk to a lot of them is not unreasonable for thinking that they all are. Because even if you could say, yeah, your mother got with your dad or some other, like if you can name some cases where it didn't happen, if you keep getting the same result, you're going to think the ones who don't waste people's time are a very tiny percentage, like 2% or 3% at maximum. Because, like I said, I look at the romantic lives of other men I know, including my best friend, and it's very similar to my own. Keep talking to chicks. They talk to you for a little while, maybe a few months. Don't show interest back, and then right back in the same spot as before. I would say most of them are full of only because I'm just so tired of that word, man. They really took every man that is like complaining about chicks or about like being single and not wanting to be and just lumped them all into a box with that group or tried to anyway. Sure, not all women are the same, but a lot of women get off on wasting men's time because they love the attention they get from it. Well, it's like this. If okay, we'll concede that they're not all the same, but if they're different from each other, why do all of these men get the same result? Why do loads of men get the same result of getting turned down by someone that they talk to for weeks or months? Like if they're not all the same, then I would still say most of them do this. You know, that's like the compromise position. Like, yeah, we'll agree that there are some out there that exist that don't do this, but it's a very small number of them. It's too damn many of them to do this because they have a lot of options. No, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying if they're not all the same, why do so many men have this issue? Not all, but enough. You know, it's so sad. We always say it's not all, like over and over again. You have people, you're talking about all women. It's just, I'm done. I'm hanging up my hat. Far too many, dude. Seriously, too damn many. And there is proof to support this. All of those groups just absorb into something else. Most of the groups now are just disgruntled leftovers from the. It seems as if we're the leftovers. No, I'm not in. Like, if you're not affiliated with any of those teams, how are you the leftover? If you were never in the box, how can you be? How can you be considered a former occupant of the box? You know, sure would like somebody to explain that to me. I'm in the box. We're gonna take Sim's on, and we're gonna say to hell with what you actually believe. We read an article about the I word, so we're gonna just assume you believe all of this. And then we're gonna take him, right? We're gonna write his name on a piece of paper and staple it to that group, and then that'll be our opinion on him. He's one of the members. He's one of the boys. I'm not a part of any of those groups. I'm just saying they're not interested in us for some apparent reason. Good. I don't care if other men are interested in me. That's not my mission. Definitely not affiliating myself with that group ever. Some who actually answer with violence. Yeah, no, who wants to be affiliated with that? Then again, that word is thrown around as an insult. Well, see, that's different because, and we've discussed this before, when someone else mentions that word and you weren't talking about it, the onus for bringing that group up and like continuing to spread the word of them is on that person because you didn't mention them at all. Like if I'm talking to somebody and they call me a racial slur, I don't feel bad because they're the ones who brought up a racial slur. I was just talking to someone, just having a dialogue. So it's on them when they keep like mentioning that group and letting the legacy of them live on. So let them throw it around as an insult. It's funny though that it was actually started by a woman who couldn't get a date in college. Yeah, people keep telling me there are chicks that have that issue, but I don't see them. Like every time I go and look at forums or threads about never being with someone, it's always a man. And I guess that's just the lesson you have to learn that if you're a man, nobody cares about you. When you do something bad, nobody excuses it. Nobody tries to justify it. They just lynch you. Even if you didn't do anything bad, if you make a video, they get like angry and start wanting to curse you out and all this nasty stuff. Derogatory term if they are annoyed with you or wish to antagonize a guy randomly. Yeah, someone they've never met, they know all this stuff about where they can lump them in that group. She was like the one lone chick. Hey, you heard of Lone Ranger? We got Lone Chick now. But look, I'm gonna get off of here because I got some stuff to do. So thanks, James. Thanks, Simzone. Thanks, Megumi, especially for that donation. I haven't had one in a while. Thanks, Akatsuki Merchant. Euro Dollar. I know he vanished after a while. I'll do a stream again on Monday, and yeah, have a good Saturday. See ya.